I would remember him as a human being of great decency, great inspiration, great moral compass, and someone who lived his life with such courage, with such fortitude, and with such love for the country and for every countryman, for every animal. I mean, I don't think there'll be another Ratan Tata because he, you know, I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but he was a different kind of man. I was blessed. I mean, I'm thanking the Lord that I even had the honor and the privilege of knowing him. But Ratan Tata strode like a colossus. He was a human being with great dignity, with great decency, and with utmost compassion. I mean, from being a fighter jet pilot to in July playing with my 5-year-old daughter, you know, she was passing him Kit Kat and he was taking it. The love which he showered on me, on my family, on my wife Lakshmi. And I can't keep remembering, but there are innumerable anecdotes. It's not about what Ratan Tata achieved in business, that you and I know. But the man was something else, whether it was his staff, whether it was his dogs. You know, I've often said this about how he refused an invitation by King Charles, then Prince Charles, to go to Buckingham Palace to receive a lifetime achievement because Tito, one of his dogs, was unwell. That shows you character. I think what he will leave behind in India is great character. He will leave behind great humanism. He will leave behind, to my mind, a legacy that people will love to follow. I haven't, in my 61 years of living, seen such an outpouring of grief. Every Indian is impacted today. You know, Ratan did not have a personal family. He was a bachelor. But every Indian, 1.4 billion people today, are in mourning because of the man's innate decency, because of the good he caused, the goodness he showered, and the embrace with which he touched every human life. You know, whether it was, as I said, whether it was cancer centers, the small animal hospital, in every which way, Ratan Tata has defined the true Indian.
And joining us on the broadcast this morning is Professor Arvind Panagria, Chairperson Finance Commission. Sir, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Times Now. Like, you know, we just heard Mr. Suhel Seth also say, everybody today, every Indian specifically, is impacted today because of this great loss. Mr. Ratan Tata is no more, whether somebody met Mr. Ratan Tata or not, but he in some way or the other did touch his life. How will you like to remember him? What is it that you will like to say, sir?
Thank you, Hina, for having me. You know, Suhel Seth couldn't be more right. Because I can tell you that even this morning, as soon as I told my wife that Ratan Tata had passed away, soon after we woke up, you know, for an hour or so, she kept telling me that I feel so upset. So now, you know, for somebody like her to be also upset is exemplifies, you know, how deeply Ratan Tata had touched the people's psyche in India. And it's quite remarkable, you know, because he had a giant of a predecessor in J.R.D. Tata, who had been at the helm of Tata Group for 53 years. And he really, Ratan Tata, seamlessly kind of slipped into J.R.D. Tata's shoes, and few people even noticed the transition. So, you know, to have such a giant of a predecessor and still make people feel as though nothing has changed and is incredibly remarkable. So his successors really have quite a challenge. And of course, you know, on the Indian business, he left such an incredible mark, a very different standard of ethics for businesses compared to anybody else. And, you know, in the Indian environment, to be really regarded as the holder of ethical standards of the country, really, it is quite remarkable, you know. I mean, generally, it is the political leaders sometimes, like Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, to whom people would look for ethical and moral approval, but this was quite unusual that a businessman, a business leader, was seen as such as also.
Absolutely. And Professor Panagria, now, he also ensured that Air India came back to the Tata Group, something that was started by Mr. J.R.D. Tata, through which India was taken to the world, and he ensured, the way it was privatized, it came back to the Tata Group.
Good example to bring to me, Hina, actually, because not only what you say, the continuity, it was started and then passed on by J.R.D. Tata to the government, and now it came back to the Tata Group under Mr. Ratan Tata. I feel specially connected to this one because I had some small role actually in the privatization of Air India. The very first report in the government that was written actually on privatization was done by the Niti Aayog. And that's one of the very last reports that I did actually before I left Niti Aayog in 2017. So it took a little while to eventually privatize it, but it got done. And in some indirect way, I feel, though, that I do have a connection in this particular instance with Ratan Tata.